we turn around to bastardize them, then I'm afraid we're not going to get anywhere.
Otna news for catch the Ghana for say. It is not the president who sacked Charlotte. It was the 146 article 146.9. And no sack Charlotte say. Inti why are we saying say Ekufuado in the Pamo Charlotte say? John Dramani Mahama allowed the 146.9, the same 146.9 our constitution no, to go through. The due process was adhered to. But also and no kwasiafo we MPP for we opportunity. No ma catch Ghana for say John Mahama Pamo Tokonu. But when they were sacking Charlotte say using the same procedure, the same due process, the same 1992 constitution, the same 146.9, they said Nana the Dan Kweku Fuado did not sack Charlotte say. Now in fact a constitution and a sacking Charlotte say kwasia we ba betena TV so ochina obebo tai fibi abeka catch Ghana for say or a minority leader onimunyansa chen. This is a filthy liar.
AfenyoMarkins. Why now we can't send the letter the PSA the Chief Justice said AfenyoMarkins the Cocoa Pie until I said the entire President John Dramani Mahama Chief Justice said a bad precedence and a mind Ghana set our crew we and a Kevin a copy retailer say boo when I can say AfenyoMarkins and I video be AfenyoMarkins got now news file. The brown on Charlotte said, you know, and I said, about AfenyoMarkins, you know, Charlotte said, who bet now can say, my common idea for the right process. Until about saying, and then they did the same right process now, you Chief Justice. I reckon I would do someone who can't the president. Now, young Korean choir Kevin a Kobe or the AfenyoMarkins, a fossil.
A year Tokonu a year Madam Tokonu ya pamano every a year the Supreme Court of Ghana because of a year misbehavior, corruption issues, any nyomebia na enisa oya waye. Now yate AfenyoMarkins oye Tokonu adam for pa. It is so interesting, and you see, in some say no, we shouldn't joke with it. Sycophancy, hypocrisy, in Kofua, omuya hypocrite, omon kanokreno, omon say mine. Nipa on kanokrabia or dangerous. And this is the American so MPP near on kanokra. Now we share one MPP on kanokra. In fact, Chechere MPP ni bodium because we want no better than MPP on kanokra. And a typical example of a liar. A politician who is a liar, a sycophant, and a hypocrite is this guy Akakaru Raiditihu, your friend AfenyoMarkins, aka Kasungu, aka content creator. This guy has no respect for Ghanaians. This guy has nothing, your friend says, self-respect. Now, Madam Tokonu, ever seen nobody in Ghana or say he or she does not agree with the decision of Madam Tokonu being sacked as the Chief Justice of Ghana and also being sacked as a judge in Ghana. No, none of these people have been able to produce one document, one document, a year. I just want to say they've not been able to provide one constitutional statement, anything that proves to say a kwan na Madam Tokonu constitution de fast no sa kwan enye kwan pa. The argument has always been about moral argument, and the Madam Tokonu issue I be pam the free Supreme Court no, it is not moral argument. We are talking about constitution and how the constitution was applied. So making a moral argument about Madam Tokonu being sacked or losing her job it does not justify say Madam Tokonu should not be sacked. Morally, you can decide to think the way you want to think, but until you are able to prove with evidence and facts to debunk or try to prove or disprove the constitution, say senior constitution you apply is wrong, then you cannot. Until you are able to do that, you cannot sit anywhere else and tell Ghana for say Madam Tokonu na ye no sebio Ghana ye boom raso. A Ghana constitution and a two Tokonu. It wasn't an individual. Article 1469, and then a share Ghana for a share a leader of the Republic, John Mahama, to do what he had to do. Because John Mahama ain't Article 1469 and Kasa Constitution now between to John Mahama free so. So John Mahama is just a tool in the hand of the Constitution. John Mahama is a tool. He is a pen in the hand of the Constitution, the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. At this point, what the NPP seek to do now is to politicize Tokonu's sack by the Constitution. It is the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana and the PAM Tokonu. Now, it's so interesting. This AfenyoMarkins, not Owukrumha. Now, we are going to discredit you. We don't have time for banter. We will discredit with facts. AfenyoMarkins, in 2017, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo about power. When Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo Charlotte Osei a free yes electoral commission, that was the first time in the history of the Republic of Ghana Charlotte and EC boss president go through a process to sack her. A lot of people raised issues about how Charlotte Osei was treated and how she was not given the hearing ear, how Charlotte Osei was not given any room. Charlotte Osei and her two deputies. Even with that, people raising concerns, still Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo went ahead to make sure say Charlotte Osei constitution na da hono. Sa constitution no any Charlotte Osei any the deputies edi. AfenyoMarkins went to sit on TV and he defended Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's action. He defended the 1992 constitution because Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his government then based their actions on the 1992 constitution, article 1469, to make sure Charlotte Osei is kicked out of power. And today, when you hear this content creator, this political liar, sit anywhere else to tell you, so, oh, we will deal with it at the right time. CJ's removal. There's nothing to deal with. Let's go and listen to AfenyoMarkins. The hypocrisy and the lies. You cannot trust these MPP people. This is how AfenyoMarkins defended the NPP when they came into power in 2017. How they used the constitution to get rid of Charlotte Osei. Yenti AfenyoMarkins.
Yes. You see, Angry Kwekubako was very candid. See, the president knows the politics of this country. So he was very specific, made reference to the petition, unsigned petition, the subsequent communication he received from the council, and all that. So he left it as it was, which is fundamentally different from what my respected colleague was trying to put out.
In other words, the president made the Chief Justice aware of the deficiencies that may be in the original.
He left it as it.
He didn't just send it. He wrote
of course,
pay attention that these other issues and leave it to your judgment.
Exactly. You see, we are talking about developing institutions, and if each time institutions try to assert themselves, we turn around to bastardize them, then I'm afraid we're not going to get anywhere. Is it the president who has removed Charlotte Osei, or it's an institution that has done its work in accord with law and has thus made a recommendation for her exit? The NDC may not be happy because they appointed the woman to head NCC. They tried to push her to the Supreme Court. The Judicial Council did not agree. She was rejected, and eventually she was sent to the Electoral Commission. The MPP as a party opposed the procedure for the appointment of the EC chair, and I led the charge. Eventually in court, my client was Richard Sky. It was not Charlotte Osei. They shouldn't get it wrong. The MPP opposed the procedure. However, we looked after if the eventual appointment and the decision by the Supreme Court endorsing the procedure and all that. You remember I even raised the issue of contempt, that while the matter was yet to be tried, Mr. President had gone ahead to appoint and order, and I thought that it was not appropriate. But look, it didn't get anywhere. So when Charlotte was appointed as a party, we had issues with the background, and we did not hide from that. But it was not an NDC MPP person. It was not Kennedy Japan. It was not Gabios Asardako who petitioned the president for the removal. Get it straight.
What's AfenyoMarkins? Charlotte say, the time no, Ekufuado ba office na, ye den, yi Charlotte say no, or say, one, enya president ni ne yi Charlotte say, na eye constitution no ene yi Charlotte say. That was his statement. Or say petition na, troye na, jina so, ede pam Charlotte say as the EC boss no, enya gabi ochedako ne troye. Enye bedie to na troye eye obi na troye and also kasa no say every time be a person you develop institutions no they will try to find a way to go after the institutions. You know what he was trying to say? He was trying to say eye aban take a decision to make sure say eye institution bibi nkoso ye na say the right things should be done na ye na Ghana for ye kasetia eye de decision na aban no eteki say presidency receive petition now or act on the petition na ye Ghana for we are fighting the presidency. This is the defense AfenyoMarkins etna TV so catch the Ghana for when Ekufuado in 2017 decided say was say Charlotte say or permanent every EC office. He made his point. In fact, see at a point, Charlotte say the positions ni binana ya de man na no omo MPP for ntiase no. Oma the last guy, sa the last guy ya kwasi campaign the last guy. The last guy ya AfenyoMarkins ene Gabi Ochedako de ko school e UK. Sa kwasi the last guy ya nansen AfenyoMarkins yenya issue e parliament or the case de court no. LGBT anti-LGBT case no. AfenyoMarkins man de court the same the last guy. This is what they have been doing for years. But what I want you to understand and say, he made it clear, say, constitution no, constitution no, and then ye Charlotte say free ho. Na nanado dankwa Ekufuado. That was the same thing omukachire when Ekufuado put his presidency on the line. These are the same people today. They are fighting Ghanaians. Adentina, Madame Charlotte, Madame Tokonu. Also for the same process. They have a problem. Adentina Ghana for year penny. Why are we allowing it? It is political. We need to create a new law to protect some people at some very important places. This is the same AfenyoMarkins. Otna news for catch the Ghana for say. It is not the president who sacked Charlotte. It was the 146 article 146(9) and known as sack Charlotte say. Into why are we saying say Ekufuado in the Pamo Charlotte say? John Dramani Mahama allowed the 146(9), the same 146(9) our constitution no, to go through. The due process was adhered to. But also and no, kwasiafo we MPP for we opportunity. No man catch Ghana for say John Mahama Pamo Tokonu. But when they were sacking Charlotte say using the same procedure, the same due process, the same 1992 constitution, the same 146(9), they said Nana the Danko Ekufuado did not sack Charlotte say. Now in fact, a constitution and a sacking Charlotte say. Kwasia we ba betna TV so ochina. Obebo tai fibi abeka catch Ghana for say or a minority leader onimunyan sachen. This is a filthy liar. The law is the law. And this is something they have been doing for years. When we talk on what we start here, the NPP deliberately decided to politicize it. But to date, they have not been able to state one article that the due process, and I say the constitutional president will be a breaking any law when it comes to the process now. They have not been able to cite one infraction. They have not been able to cite one infraction. They have noticed say somewhere where the president buso, somewhere where the nipa we buso, entina madam no sake no, it is not right. They have not been able to do that. the same procedure, the same due process Ekufuado edi Charlotte say femu no, the same due process and na tokonu femu, and so almost say Ekufuado de ne na a constitution na pamon Charlotte say, but tokonu de ne Mahama na nimu hare odi na yeteni enti yamfa nhye Mahama enkwasiafo ma we enende omudi MPP nenim. They have no principle. They are not people you can trust. They don't have the intelligence to be honest. They see every single Ghanaian and say, "Yeah, Jimmy." Until every time when they get the opportunity, they just want to lie and think, say, we will absorb it and just follow them like sheep. So, what is credible about this guy? What is credible about this guy that Ghana ni awokosko oniminyansa, onkosko oniminyansa, Ghana ni otoaba? Why should any Ghanaian oniminyansa listen to this idiot? Because they are the same thing, but he's trying to justify one and trying to make one somebody's intentions. He's justifying one. But when it comes to Ekufuado's decision he took, it wasn't Ekufuado's fault. It was the constitution. But when it comes to John Mahama's situation, when the John Mahama allowed the due process, John Mahama allowed the constitution to work. It is not the constitution, it is John Mahama. This is the kind of dirty politics and kwasiafo way ya. Enti every day biano, their numbers keep dropping. And Messi Megu party no 2028 Megu no, because of these fools, because of kwasiafo way onyankopon wasoro a ode nyansa aduame mitiri